Welcome everybody to another episode of Meet Me in Napa. I'm your host, Jeremy Jackson. So glad that you guys have been following me on this journey. This journey has been taking me to so many exciting places, doing exciting things, talking to amazing people. And today I have one here, Mr. Matt Stamp. How you doing today?
I'm well, thanks, Jeremy.
Matt Stamp is a world-class master sommelier, restaurant owner of Complin, and wine shop and restaurant, right?
Yep.
And all around just like this, it's funny. I got to go right into it, right? Because we met through some circumstances and we just kind of became friends, right? And we hang out and we're drinking and you're like, hey, I remember when you called me, you was like, you want to go have a drink? I'm like, yeah, sure, and we'll be out of town and we'll be drinking, and everywhere we went, like we couldn't even have a decent drink because everybody was stopping to talk to you everywhere. So I'm like, well, who the hell is this guy? Like who is this guy? And so one day I'm at work and the guy goes, hey man, I saw you out with Matt last night. He's like, you know who that is, right? I'm like, he's like, no, dude, you know who that is? I said, no, that's Matt. Over there at Complin. He goes, man, that dude wrote the curriculum for for people who know wine. And I'm like, oh, okay. So as I got to, the one thing I love is that the relationship was very authentic. I think that sometimes in most worlds, when people are of your stature, accomplishment of what you do, people will start to cling to you for reasons that, and I think that we got to have more of an authentic, want anything from each other. Even getting you on the podcast, I was like, listen, it's up. You just tell me when. I'm not gonna ask you because as a friend, I didn't want it to feel pressure to have you come on. And I'm like, no, that's my guy. It's not about you coming on. So when you're ready, of course, and here you are.
It's like
today.
a year in the making.
Yeah, right? yeah. It's like a year in the making. Yeah, me as a friend tugging on his arm, like, when are you gonna do it? No, I'm just kidding. But no, thank you for coming on the show, man.
Yeah,
I'm excited to have you here. So, we were kind of talking off mic, and I said, I want to kind of do a little backwards interview style. Instead of starting like, hey, I'm my humble beginnings and all that, we're gonna start from the back and work to the front, okay? But first, before we do that, we have some wine here, and I need you to explain what we're having, and let's have a cheers.
Yeah. Eagle-eyed observers will note that this is one of my favorite bottles. It is also a really cheap bottle. I don't know what that says about me, but one of the hardest white wines to get in our shop year in and year out. So this is Muscadet Sevret Men. It's a sur-lie bottling, which means that it's a white wine that was aged on the lees prior to being released. Lees are like the detritus of the poop of fermentation, right? But when you age a white wine on the lees, it gives them a little bit of texture. And Muscadet historically has been fairly or unfairly criticized as being lemony oyster wine, right? And that's it. And so over time, they've worked with texture to create some interest in these otherwise sometimes shrill and sharply acidic wines. This is the best one that's made. It's a single vineyard called Clos de Briord. There's a core of vines here that are about 60 to 70 years old. Melon de Bourgogne, or Melon B, as the grape is now known. And this bottling emerged in the 1980s. The owner of the domain, Marc Olivier, was just a rock star in an age where there wasn't much at all in terms of quality wine. And the other thing I love about this wine is that it is an example of one of France's most age-worthy white wines, even though no one realizes that. So we're drinking a 2021 Muscadet Clos de Briord from Domaine de la Pépinière. It's awesome. So
wow.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. And I promise you, after I take this sip, you will not get that type of education every time you order a glass of
Literally, AI could have told you all of that.
AI could have. It's interesting. We kind of were talking a little bit before, and you were like, I want to talk about AI. Yeah. And so, what is your take on AI and how we see how it's impacting all over the world in different genres? Is it impacting wine in any kind of way? And if it is, what is your perspective? What's your take on it?
100%. It's impacting wine in all sorts of ways. For me, I think about the ways in which it's impacting wine education and wine certification. Mm-hmm. Other people that are much smarter than I am think about how it affects sales. But the thing is, part of my background, and you alluded to this in your introduction, is that I built a website called an opportunity for aspiring sommeliers who are trying to pass certifications, whether it was CMS certification or WSET or whatever it was. I collected all of these databases of up-to-the-minute, up-to-date wine law and bits of wine education that previously you had to buy books here and things there, and some of it was up to date and some of it wasn't, and some of it was true and some of it wasn't. And so I worked really hard to build this. And it's funny because, 16 years later, that website is totally obsolete because nowadays you can click on Briord and, even Google, I think a lesser player in the AI space can tell you everything that I just told you about that bottle of wine.
That you had to labor intensive hours to
Yeah. Anyway, so, it's funny. It is changing. I think what sommeliers were expected to know, and the way that the Master Sommelier exam is written in terms of the theory, for instance, it's all a lot of like kind of basic fact regurgitation, because a lot of that is really easy to score. So it's like, how much is stuffed into your brain? Can you tell me the soil type of X vineyard? Can you tell me how many hectares are in vineyard Y? Can you tell me the producer that makes Cuvée Z? Can you tell me, what the second label of wine A is? Those are the types of things sommeliers historically have been expected to know, because that information wasn't readily available to the common person. And so sommeliers were the gate through which you got some of this. Nowadays, like, that's no longer the point, right? Nowadays, a sommelier, like, where somebody in wine, where they really have to be is they have to be tasting wines and they have to be comparing and they have to understand. And this is the thing that I find so fascinating, right? Like, if you read every AI blurb about every wine or every vineyard or whatever, they're just brute force collecting information that's on the internet. And what somebody says is sweet, somebody else might not think is sweet. What somebody says is dry, somebody else might not think is dry. And so that, the real, I think, sophistication of the sommelier trade today is in translating for people. And when you say, I like X, Y, and Z in a wine, I think, and I'm like, oh, okay, what you really mean is A, B, and C, and I'm going to get that bottle to you. And so that's what's interesting to me. And I think I don't know that the trade has fully embraced that dynamic change.
All right, so with that wealth of information, what are you seeing with the younger somms that are coming into the industry now, as compared to when you were entering, and the men who trained you, right? Like, those were probably the grandfathers of their time training the young men. Now you're the trainer. What are you seeing the difference with how much you had to know compared to how technology and AI has changed that? What are they pumping out into the market now?
Jeremy, how old do you want me to sound right now? Like, I could go, I could go octogenarian.
Yeah, no, don't go there. We want this. We want high ratings. No, I'm just playing. I want you to be honest, but yeah, give it to, because you're talking to someone who I'm the common here. I'm the common person, right?
Yeah.
I don't have the wealth. And most people who are watching, they just might want to know wine. Like, your introduction to that was like, wow, that was so good that somebody's gonna go buy it just the way that you explained it, right?
I know. I'll tell you where to get it.
Yeah, and go to Complin wine shop and get that bottle. But yeah, so like, give me your perspective and what do you think? But give it to me like you're talking to a fifth grader,
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's the thing, and I'm gonna back it out for a second.
Okay.
Something that I hear all the time are from tremendously smart, tremendously successful people, neurosurgeons, scientists of every ilk, is that I somehow passed the hardest exam known to man, right? Like, I hear that all the time. Oh my God, I can't believe that you did that. And the whole
I've
idea
heard that before,
of like blind tasting and being able to say, oh, this is a 21, Loire Valley wine. I think it's Muscadet. People are just blown away by that. They think it's magic, right? And it really isn't. And the challenge, getting back to your question, with folks coming into the industry today, is that learning wine is not something you're taught in school for obvious reasons. You have to be 21 to drink it.
Unless you grew up in Europe.
Yeah, then you get a couple of extra, but wine is something you have to start getting into once you're already an adult, and you have to start studying it alongside whatever you're already doing for work. And so it's interesting to see how people come into the sommelier trade. There are a lot of people who are just these, like myself, pure restaurant folks, right? Who've just worked in restaurants and come up through restaurants, and they saw wine as an opportunity to sort of professionalize what they were doing on a restaurant floor. But there are other people who came in, they got tired of finance, or they got tired of law, or they got tired of, being a ER doctor, or whatever it is. There's a lot of people who just switch gears and come into wine later in life. And the thing that they all have in common is that no one has really been taught how to think about wine. There's until very recently, there was never a playbook. So in some ways, folks in restaurants almost had a leg up, because they could at least, depending on where you were, taste solid wines on a regular basis.
It's more frequent.
And they understood how to serve it, and a little bit how to talk about it. The problem with folks coming into the business right now is that as everybody is kind of reevaluating their work-life balance, in the younger generations, this is where I'm sounding old. The time that you have to devote to learning this craft, which always has to exist alongside your normal 40-hour work week, they're not really willing to put that time in. And that's not everybody. There are some stars coming out, but that, by and large, that's what we see. When I was working at the French Laundry as a sommelier and studying for the MS exam, then I was still spending my one day off, at tasting groups. I was going to, I was doing everything I could outside of an existing 60 to 70 hour work week to really study. I was writing the Guildsom website in my mornings. And I think that what a lot of people who want to crack into, the world of being a great sommelier nowadays, I think a lot of what they miss is that is added time. Unless you're independently wealthy, unless you're whatever it is, but that is just time that you got to add to your day, and a lot of people aren't willing to do it for all kinds of reasons.
There's such a common theme that I hear in a lot of my interviews, and even when I'm talking to people, it's that the younger generation perspective and how they see life, right?
Yeah.
They see it much differently, and I don't think that they take the long hours, the hard work, and discipline, and they make it something toxic. And it's really not. It's like, no, that's just the requirement. Like when you want to be great at something, it's just the requirement. You can't shortcut being the greatest boxer in the world. You got to go run however many miles a day that it takes, plus more, right? You got to be up at 4 a.m. You got to hit the weight room. You got to eat healthy. And so it's the same thing. And I think that because of and I'm not picking on AI, I'm saying technology as a whole has made information and things somewhat easier. And you grow up in a lifetime where things are so really fast that the concept of doing something for 10 years before you even get paid to do it is just asinine. Right.
Yeah, totally.
And so, it is a thing that I see, especially with a lot of entrepreneurs, and that's with any sector. Construction workers, they're like, I can't find young people that want to, after the 8 hour, they're dropping their tools. They're like, we're going home. No, we're not going to do extra hours. No, but stuff got to get done, right? So
it's funny actually. Hearing that, I'm reminded of the plight of the glass blower. We use some amazing stems here. They're all mouth blown, hand blown, whatever you want to say. Made by Sophienwald. Shameless plug for my friends Simon Katzenschlager and Ginger Turner, who import these amazing glasses to the U.S. and we use them in the restaurant and the shop. And it's interesting listening to them, because in the days since COVID, they can't find anybody young who wants to blow this shape all day long, right? They want to make something colorful or unique, or they want a snowflake.
Do you think that? Now here's the. Let me be on the younger generation side real quick, right? Do you think that the wine industry is resistant to the change? Like, what if this is the change that's needed, and this is what brings about the new customer and their appeal.
Yeah.
Is there always this battle of, well, this is how it's always done, so this is how it always goes, right?
Yeah.
I personally think that there is always a resistance to change, right? But
believe me, yeah.
yeah.
If there's ever been an industry more resistant to change, I mean, they're still using a 400-year-old fucking cork to close bottles. You know, the wine industry moves slowly. It rewards ideas of timelessness, and so I agree, and I think that I don't mean to. I think that younger, like, there's a shit, man. I've been telling myself for 4 years now that all I want for a New Year's resolution is a weekend. And I still haven't gotten it. And if the younger generation has found a way,
to get weekends, maybe we need to adopt what they got going on.
I have something to learn.
So I asked you, the name is Complin.
Yeah.
We're in the restaurant Complin, and you guys will, by the time you're watching it, you have seen a very beautiful video of the restaurant. And where did you come up with the name Complin, and what does it mean?
Yeah. Complin, it means, or it refers to the completion of the working day. So It is a form of the Latin completorium, which is the verb to complete. And when we were opening Complin back in 2017, I was searching for a name that could somehow tie together the two kind of wine traditions that we wanted to bridge, the tradition here in California and the tradition in Europe, because we love serving European wines. And so I looked at monks as the common denominator. There were monks, Cistercians, and Benedictines in Europe that sort of shepherded viticulture through the post-Roman period and into the modern era in Europe. They expanded the vineyard footprint all over continental Europe. In California, on the other hand, it was monks that brought the vine up from Mexico. And so our first grape here in California is the mission grape, because it was planted at the missions, which were established by monks back in the 1700s. And so Complin is not only refers to completion, but it's also the last monastic hour in the day in which monks would congregate before going their separate ways to bed. So the hour of Complin occurs after dark, and it's one last opportunity to get together. And that was kind of that was the meaning that we wanted to access when we named the restaurant. However, and interestingly enough, I'm kind of an etymology geek sometimes, and I dug into the sort of pre-Latin etymology of the word completorium. And it turns out that it meant at some time in the very distant past to complete, in the sense of to fill one's cup. And I found that to be a nice little closed loop. Yeah. So anyway, that's probably, I should have named it like, I don't know, Matt's Fried Chicken Shack or something, that was a little easier to pronounce and understand, but we went with Complin. So.
You might have had a line around the corner if you named it chicken and wine, be like, that's a good...
Fried chicken and champagne is
all I know
solid.
Is the Waffle House doesn't have any shortage of customers. That's all I'm saying. Oh man! So Matt, so you're here. You have such an extensive journey. You have the restaurant and the wine shop. You were voted number one again, correct?
Yeah.
Number one wine shop in the nation.
Well, USA Today gave us third best wine shop in the nation, but World Fine Wines, which is a really important European academic wine magazine, gave us best wine list in North America.
Okay, best wine list.
Yep,
Okay. So I'm pretty sure you have the best of the best who hear about that, and they come in here and they're ready to see like the wine that you have, right?
Yeah.
What do you find is the most common wine that people buy from the experts to the novice?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on whether folks are local or not local. Here in downtown Napa, obviously, we have a huge influx of not just local, but international tourism, folks from the Bay Area, folks from Germany, folks from Japan, wherever. And so what I try to do and what I try to train my staff to do is to first inquire whether somebody wants to drink something local or not. Because really that's, in a lot of situations, your decision tree might be, do I want white or red? Do I want sparkling or rosé? But here I think it's very much, do I want to drink something from the region or not? Because the folks that live here often work in the wine trade, or they're adjacent to it. and they want to drink anything but.
They're Napa cabbed out.
Yeah. You make Napa Cab all day. It's unlikely to be your beverage of pleasure at the end. So I find that we sell a lot of Napa Cabernet, certainly to tourists, but we sell a lot of other things to everybody that lives here. And people love to drink champagne. They love to drink white Burgundy is one of our biggest sellers.
Mm-hmm.
I think in general, people are becoming more and more excited by just drinking like crisp, fresh white wines like this one. So we sell tons of, Spanish Albarino and dry German Riesling. And it's really, for me, the mark of a good service here at the restaurant is when I can look at in the next morning's reports and see that we've sold wines from all over the book.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a bunch of Napa Cab. It's not just a bunch of any one category. It's like, oh, we sold Swiss wine last night. Oh, there's a Portuguese dry red. And those nights are exciting to me because that means people are coming in here and taking what we want them to take from this place.
I got to tell the funny story. So the first time we ever hung out, and now I order it all the time, but you ordered a bottle of Chablis.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so I'm sitting there, no, but this is just a true story. So I'm like thinking to myself, like, it wasn't the first time because I didn't know you were the master somm at the time yet. I think it was after I found out. But I noticed you ordered Chablis. But anyways, I grew up here in the Bay Area, and I always thought Chablis was like bottom of the barrel wine.
Yeah.
Right? And so the reason why I thought that is because E40 had a song. He had a song, and he said that he wanted some Carlos Rossi wine. He had a song called Carlos Rossi.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I wanted a bottle of Carlos Rossi wine, and he brought me back a bottle of Chablis. And he was pissed off about it, right? And so I'm a teenager. I wasn't into wine, and I just thought, oh, okay, Chablis is, so now I'm sitting here with this, this guy who has world-class knowledge of wine. He's ordering Chablis. So I think that I bring that up because I think even too culturally, right, people don't gravitate towards white wines, or they don't sweet wines, or we have all these perceptions or misconceptions
totally.
of what wine is. What is the quality of it? Tell me a little bit about what you feel misconceptions of wine are, and like lay some rumors like straight right now, like things that that say no, that's, even though this is what people think, no, this is what it is.
Yeah, totally. It's funny. First of all, I have to thank my friend Sir Lucero, who I think good friends with Sean Massey.
Yeah.
Maybe comes into the barbershop. I don't know.
He does.
Anyway, he instilled in me a proper and authoritative love of Chablis a long time ago. So I gotta give him some props. The challenge, with things like Chablis, is that many decades ago, a lot of these great European appellations, historic places that produced specific styles of wine, often coming from a small region, a valley, a collection of villages. The names of those places were sort of misappropriated, right? They were taken, and so Chablis became, Hardy Chablis or Pink Chablis or whatever it was in a box in the 50s, and same thing happened with port and champagne. And so a lot of these, that kind of movement and that distortion of quality and a sense of place is what really pushed a lot of the appellation laws that were developed in France in the 1930s and Italy shortly thereafter, and to protect these kind of places like Chablis.
Okay.
However, they always give the Americans shit for this, but they were doing it themselves. Like most French wine was Algerian in the early 1900s. It's like somehow Algeria, which was a French colony, went from having 0 vines to being the 4th largest producer of wine in about 30 years in the late 1800s, and there's never been a bottle of wine labeled Algeria. So where did that go? But I think what people really should know, and this is where the sommelier can really come in, is like wines do come from places, and generally the smaller the place, the better, right? Mm-hmm. Not always. There's an argument for the other side too that people like Penfolds make all the time, but generally you want to drink something from a place that you recognize. Mm-hmm. And I think if you kind of do that, you can generally drink pretty well. It doesn't have to be expensive. This Clos de Briord, which is literally a 3 hectare, or it's about, I think, 7 or 8 acres, of vineyard, like this bottle in my shop is $25. And this is an incredible, like specific old vine parcel that's tiny on the other side of the world, and we're enjoying it for $25 a bottle. Yeah, I think if people try to drink from places and they try to drink from people, that's the other part of it, right? Like there's a lot of people, great people that make wine. And then there are a lot of brands that get purchased and repurchased and sold and purchased, and suddenly they're just corporate names that don't exist to provide value or a sense of place. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm digressing, but I think if people tend to look for, to buy wine from people that actually make the wine and places from which the wine actually comes, that's
more. It's more. It's like more of direct to consumer more so than it is like have the story and the personal relationship behind the wine.
Yeah,
and the vintner, or the winemaker, or
you totally region, like if you buy a bottle of Arnott Roberts, I can guarantee that bottle was produced by 2 guys named Duncan Arnott Myers and Nathan Roberts.
Yeah,
like they still make the wine, but if you and I'm not going to call out a bunch of
call them out.
I'm not going to call out a bunch of brands, but there's a lot of names out there that are just corporate mastheads at this point. So buy wine from people who still own the brands and make it from places.
Okay. So there's been some changes in your professional career as far as what's going on with here at Complin. We have Chef Sean, who is going to be he has revamped your menu, right?
Yeah,
Chef Sean Mass used to be at Morimoto. I actually interviewed him. You can find him on the interview. Funny, amazing. Number one, talented, amazing, really funny. Love the guy. He harasses us every day. Now that he works right around the corner from us. And but what are some things that you're going through professionally in your professional career pertaining to Complin and some of the changes you're making?
Yeah. First of all, Sean is amazing. What he's done with our menu has been so rock solid. He has, I think, taken the core of who we are and kind of elevated it back to the point where we're really proud of the food that we're making, and we feel like it sits on an even plane with the wine that we serve. Also, Sean is a great example. In the restaurant business, as in all walks of life, there's always that idea that you can't really judge a book by its cover, right? And I remember Sean from the Morimoto days, but it'd been a few years, and I remember him coming in as a guest because he's been a frequent guest of the restaurant and the wine shop for a number of years now. The first time he came in as a guest, rolled in and Adidas slides, frumpy tie-dyed t-shirt, just looked like and of course the hostess is like, do I seat this guy? And, rolled in, ordered an $800 bottle of Burgundy, and I was like, not only are you seating him, but you're flagging him as VIP in the future.
Oh man!
So yeah, Sean has been amazing. What he's done with our kitchen. What we're doing overall, for some years, the wine shop and the restaurant have been operating in these kind of 2 separate silos, but it's one company, it's one vision, and these 2 distinctive businesses are literally, 80 feet from one another. They're 3 doors away.
Right.
And so a lot of what we've been doing is finding ways to recombine the ethos, to recombine the sense of how folks can buy wine from us or enjoy wine from us, to elevate the quality and style of food that we produce. And I have to give I founded this restaurant almost 9 years ago with Ryan Stettins, who is no longer involved in managing the restaurant, but is still an active stakeholder in our success. And I really credit him with really waving the flag and ensuring that we thought a lot about where our food comes from, in the same way that we think a lot about where the wine comes from. And so we're kind of taking that mentality and moving forward to ensure that once we have these great products and these things like the cookery and the ability and the execution of the dishes, and the timeliness and all those things are also thoughtful and elevated. So yeah, we're, I don't think what the restaurant has been doing is broken by any means, but we definitely become a very casual spot. And I love the neighborhood feel of Complin Restaurant, but I want the food to kind of return to a place where it was at, I think, really prior to the pandemic, where it was just a little more elevated, where we were on the Michelin map, where we were, so that's kind of the goal going forward.
Are you chasing after a star?
No, I don't know.
And I don't want to say chase, but are you presenting yourself in that type of way? Is that?
No, once you have a star, you have to start worrying about ironing your tablecloths. Like, who's got fucking time for that?
I know, man. I hate have to iron in to get on the interview. You know what I mean?
I know. That's why I was late this morning. I was like, Jeremy, 15 minutes.
Yeah, you're like 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, okay. That's never late.
We don't. But I want to be able to serve great, clean, elevated food, and it's funny. One of the touchstones is our burger, which we've become famous for.
I was gonna bring it up.
We've become famous for it, and Sean took it off the menu. And I've received a lot of online trolling and hate mail for that. And I'll let everybody know that there is a way to get it. You just have to know.
Yeah, you got to know. No, so we have this argument. So when I first came out here, before I moved here years ago. What restaurant is it? They had the ostrich burger.
Oh, here in was that in Norman Rose or
not Norman Rose? Right there next to on the corner. Why is my brain freezing right now?
Yeah, no, that feels.
It was the ostrich burger. It's gonna come to me. But it was the ostrich burger, and my boy took me there, and I was good. This was before I moved out here.
Yeah,
I was like, it's good. So then when I moved here, the very first place he took me was Angel.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Angel's great.
I love Angel burger. Yeah, I know. I know you have to say it on camera. No,
I love Angel.
I'm messing with you, man. I love
Angel. Bettina
like
does
a little
an
restaurant
amazing
beef,
job.
man. I love a little restaurant beef. So I was just sold. I'm like, so then everybody barks about Rutherford's.
Yeah.
And then I had theirs. It was good. They're good. And then I had Complin. And I said, and I came back and I told G. I said, man, I don't know. I said Angel got that burger over there, and so we debate all the time. So when clients come in, I said, which one do you like better? And if they haven't had it, they go get it and they come back. And I'm not going to tell you what the score is.
Thank you.
Not on camera.
Assuaging my ego.
But no, so yeah, when Sean was like, he was like, yeah, I was like, I heard a rumor and no burger on them. And he's like, yeah, well, when you're doing, elevated things and, you just really want a burger, you know what I mean? But the burger is so great. And I think what I need to do is I need to have a Meet Me in Napa burger night here at Complin. We need to just come in. I'm going to get a bunch of people to come here and get. Now, the other food is amazing. Don't get it twisted. I've eaten so much stuff on the menu. But I bring that up because he's revamping the menu, right?
Yeah.
So what are some new items that are going to be on there that weren't previously on there before?
Yeah, well, before everybody really riots, the duck fat fries are here to stay.
Okay.
They aren't going anywhere.
That was another one, duck fat fries.
But Sean has brought a real kind of a refined sensibility. So he's got this amazing butternut squash agnolotti dish, which is awesome. A little stuffed pasta course. He has several raw fish courses that are a little reminiscent of what he was doing back in his Morimoto days. We've got a Campachi tiradito, kind of a Peruvian style set. We've got an ahi or a AAA tuna tartare, which is extravagant and delicious. But he's kind of taking some of the dishes that have become our standards, like the fried chicken and polenta here, and elevated it. So instead of fried chicken now, we're doing chicken fried quail. And it's awesome, it's just taking things up a notch. The carbonara is remaining on the menu, but it's getting tweaked a little bit. We're moving into some, better cuts of beef. So we're moving from a bavette into a strip loin. We're keeping the short rib. He's got an amazing Madai snapper course that he debuted for Morimoto that he's bringing back for the menu
I'm a
here.
big
Super,
snapper fan.
oh man, it's like crisp skin, really nice Japanese fish. It's done with this Thai curry, bit of mussels. It looks amazing. It's super flavorful, more aromatic than it is spicy. Yeah, the menu is awesome. And for everybody who misses the burger, like it was a deliberate idea to remove it entirely during his 15-night residency, just to get folks, to make people
force them to try the new
exactly.
and they're gonna love it. Yeah,
to take attention.
Yeah,
and it will, and it has returned, but you got to know how to ask for it. And the folks who came in once a year and for restaurant week in January, they're probably not going to know how to ask for it.
Yeah.
But for all of our regular clients who've supported us, who love the burger, like they're going to know how to you're going to know how to ask for it, right? So I'm not. Yeah, it'll be there for the people that want it, but it's not who we are. We're not a burger joint, and I think it's important to remind people of that.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I want to kind of get back a little bit back to the wine. I did Rebecca Weinberg from Quintessa.
Yeah, awesome.
Great interview.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she is beautiful. And I asked this question, and I didn't know how controversial the question was.
Oh God. All right, perfect.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know. I got all kind of DMs after this one, right? So I said, no, who knows wine better, right? And I said, a winemaker or a sommelier.
Oh,
she she gave a very I think it was very diplomatic, but it wasn't just diplomatic. I think it was an honest answer. But I'm going to ask it differently. Not that who knows it better, but I want to ask, how do those worlds complement each other? Because they farm, they produce, they make, it comes to your table. You have to know, you have to sell, right? So it's not so much of making it a competition, but how do those worlds merge with one another, and how do you guys complement, and where do they differ at?
Yeah, it's funny. I had the really good fortune to go to Harlan last week with my girlfriend.
You went to Harlan?
Awesome.
Oh man, why didn't you take me?
I took my girlfriend.
No, why didn't you take me?
Two, man. Room for two.
We're supposed to be boys.
Yeah, they were like, "Do you want to take your team or do you want to take your girlfriend?" I was like,
"No, I want to impress her." Yeah.
But so we were barrel tasting, right? Some of the Harlan and barrel, and I was reminded of how creative and forward-thinking I think that winemakers have to be as tasters, and that's a skill that I don't have at all. Like, I can't go and taste out of 15 different barrels and say, this is going to be the blend, or this is where this is going to be in bottle 5 or 10 years from now. I think that winemakers have such an incredible talent at not only understanding what that fruit in the vineyard is going to taste like once it's fermented, but then how to take all of these different lots and blend them together in a way that's going to make compelling fine wine. I think that's a skill set that most sommeliers don't have. Also, sommeliers don't know how to drive forklifts. Regardless of whether or not they call themselves winemakers. What I think sommeliers, and what I feel like I do really well, is I have a much broader world palette. And so I can understand when I crack a bottle that's been blended by this really forward-thinking winemaker, I can understand how that's going to compare to other producers from that same region, or other bottles of maybe that same variety from elsewhere in the world, or maybe how well that's going to age once it's in bottle, or what what dish that's going to work best with. So I think the approach is totally different. And it's funny, whenever we taste with winemakers, I'm always amused by the fact that they tend to taste for faults. And sommeliers tend to taste for flavors. As a general rule, like sommeliers will give you a quote unquote grid, right? Of, this is, you'll be watching a group full of somms, lemon rind, lemon piss, salt, key lime, like a little bit of white flour, and they'll just regurgitate descriptors that make the wine sound amazing. Whereas the winemaker will be like, VA, mouse, whatever it is, and they're just looking for faults, because that's sort of how they
process the information.
And also what they're looking out for in the barrel room.
So it's kind of like those two, the way you guys' profession are, the psychology, you form two different psychologies
100%.
around the wine and
Yeah.
how you think about it and even how you explain it, right?
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. Like sommeliers are conditioned to want to like the wine, even if it sucks, and winemakers are conditioned to dislike the wine, even if it's pretty good, just in the way that they think.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So you wrote curriculum that people study to become.
Yeah, I compiled. I would say
okay.
I did a lot of writing, but most of what I did was I compiled, primary documentation about wine law of the world. That being said, I also wrote a series of study guides that are still used today for most folks who are going through the CMS program, advanced MS certified. All of those live on guildsom.com. So I guess I both compiled a lot of stuff and I wrote a lot of stuff too.
How did you? So it seems like to me, the way after knowing you for a while and even talking to you now, whatever you would have chose to do in life, you probably would have been doing it at the same level as you're doing wine. And I just think that's a personality trait.
I'm a college dropout. Right?
That's okay. The college dropouts are some of the best. Great. Look at Google. Look at, you know what I mean?
I was really good at it. I dropped out of 2 colleges.
Twice, yeah. I'm not going to talk about my school days, all right? But what, I guess what I was going to ask is, how did you first fall in love with wine? And when you fell in love with wine, what made you go as deep into it as you did?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I feel like a lot of people have like a really snappy answer to that. Like people have perfected the bottle that was their aha moment, and they just talk about that, And I don't really have that. I remember certain bottles that like leveled me up. I remember the first time I smelled Burgundy. Not the first Burgundy, but the first time I smelled a glass of Burgundy. It was a Mongiard Muneret Fisson 2000, sometime in the early, probably 2002 or 2003. And I was like, oh, holy shit, this does smell like earth and truffle and all the things that I read on the page that I've just, everybody kind of starts in the same place, right? Wine smells like wine. It smells like wine. And then at some point you start to understand that, oh, well, actually there's all this stuff there. You just got to look for it. What made me get into wine was the total pragmatic decision that I was working, because I was a college dropout twice, as a bartender at my family's restaurant in Omaha, Nebraska, which is Vmertz. It's still there today. It's celebrating its 50th anniversary in 2027, which is super exciting. One of the great restaurants of the world. When I was running the wine program there, we got a semi-finalist nod from James Beard for Outstanding Wine Program. We were up against like Canlis and French Laundry. We did not final. We were not nominated as a finalist, but it was a cool thing nonetheless.
Did Warren Buffett ever come in there?
He did, yeah. He only ordered Cokes.
He only ordered Cokes?
Yeah, that guy was a cheap ass. Just why he is where he is today. but I don't think Warren drinks. Anyway, it was a purely pragmatic decision for me to get into wine because I was starting to think about managing the family business. And I knew that to do that effectively, I had to learn something about professional cooking or something about the front of the house. And I did not want to become a chef because I saw what that world was like. And so I started learning about wine, and it just, I don't think I had any ambitions to do what I did with wine when I started to think about it. I remember I was living in this house in Omaha, Nebraska with a bunch of bandmates, and my buddy Mario was like tinkering with distortion pedals that he had a home distortion pedal business back in the 2000s. And I was on the other side of the house, like with my Wine Spectator 101 booklet, and trying to taste Kim Crawford's Sauvignon Blanc, and those are the days. But yeah, I got into wine purely pragmatically and grew to love it the more I realized how much was there. And the really cool thing about wine to me, and the reason why you can meet so many different people from so many different walks of life in wine, is that there are so many pathways into it, right? Like one pathway can be as simple as like, I like to drink. This is amazing. It makes me feel good. Or I love to drink this with food. It changes the dining experience. Or I'm a chemistry nerd, or I'm a history buff, or, there are all these different ways that you can be like, oh, actually wine speaks to that side of me. I want to learn. I'm a history buff. I'm like, I want to learn about the history of the Loire Valley and why did this grape arrive in the Loire in 1709? Well, they had this horrible winter that year and all of the grapes there, the vines were destroyed. And so they imported this vine from Burgundy, and that was Melon de Bourgogne. And now they call it Melon B because Burgundy is angry that they're using the name Burgundy in the Loire Valley. It's, it's so that there's always a pathway into wine. And if you're a curious person or a creative person at all, like you'll find the one that speaks to you and it'll hook you. Yeah.
So what, like, there's this, I see all these articles and they're just trying to bash and say, young people aren't drinking this and that, right? Which I know it's not, because I'm downtown Napa every week and they're just drinking.
Yeah,
they
the
look
hordes,
pretty young to me.
Yeah. The hordes cometh.
But what do you think, can be done to make wine, the world of wine, and I don't, I want to separate wine from the spirit side, just not like hard alcohol, but how do you think it become more approachable to the up and coming generation?
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the things that people are trying to do to make wine approachable also reduces wine to the lowest common denominator. And I think of German wines. German wine is famous for having this impossible nomenclature that nobody can pronounce on the label, and it's all in old Gothic script, and it looks foreboding, and there's umlauts everywhere. But if you look at a bottle of German wine, it tells you everything about how sweet is this wine, and what is it? It's just in a language that's kind of incomprehensible until you take the time to learn it. That language is really interesting to people, to curious people that get into wine, but it's a gatekeeper for folks who are just like, I don't know what this is going to taste like. So there's got to be a balance. And I think right now people are really trying to eliminate some of the complexity of labeling and wine in order to make it more accessible. But in so doing, I think they're going to find that some of what really keeps people hooked is that complexity. And so making sure that wine is able to exist on both levels, like have these bottles with fun, funky labels that are awesome, that people are like, oh, I want to buy that. That's cool. But then make sure that we have this level of fine wine where there's still the complexity. It still rewards the kind of drinker who wants to think about it. I don't know if that totally answers your question, but
it's your answer.
It's fine. Is that a non-answer? Was that a non-anser? I don't know.
I don't know if it does or doesn't. I mean, that's just how you see it. So I mean, it's not about it being a right or wrong answer. I don't have I didn't have an answer that that I was thinking to hear. It was more so just your viewpoint on how you see the world.
And like I said, we're totally in a bubble here, right? Like in Napa, no one has stopped drinking wine. We're still a destination for wine tourism from all over the globe. So it's hard. Maybe it's different in Cleveland. I don't think so, man. Those winters are tough.
Who wants to go to Cleveland? LeBron didn't even want to go to Cleveland. You know what I mean?
LeBron comes here.
Yeah, I know. He's here often. Yeah. That's one of the funny things I will say. Like, it's, there's always like that unspoken thing, like you're not supposed to say when like people like him or other figureheads come to the valley. Right? You don't, and you shouldn't. You get fired. But at the barbershop, people come sit in chairs like, man, guess who was here yesterday? And so you hear all the stories. Like, I hear so many names of people just from political to entertaining to sports, just here all the time. And so it's one of the most unique places in the world, Napa Valley, I will say, just with the beauty that it beholds, the type of world-class people who are here. And the other thing too is a lot of the people, they're serious about what they do. Not saying that they're not serious anywhere else, but you have to be serious about it because this isn't tech. This isn't AI. This isn't something that you're going to put on the stock market and shares are going to go up. You have to love this. You have to be passionate about it, or else why would you do it? There's no money in it. You know what I mean? When I say no money, not like, wealth beyond your dreams, money.
I still don't have a weekend.
Yeah,
kind of
and
money.
you name the shop Complin and you never finish your day. Every time I text you, like, oh, I got over this and this. Yeah, so well, as we kind of bring it down, I have a question. You see people swirl their glass all the time.
Yeah.
And they're sniffing wine. And somebody comes and a more experienced person says, I remember like you and other people that say, I smell this, and I'd be like, I don't smell that. Is that really what you're smelling, or are you told and trained to know that that's there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a bit of both, admittedly.
Okay.
I think there are suggestions of things, but it's interesting. I spent a lot of my career training or educating sommeliers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the trade. And now I find much more happiness in educating the total like neophyte, newcomer, beginner in wine, because I love seeing that light bulb go off.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with the way that we talk about wine generally, and a lot of that is, those aromas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, does this really smell like? And the fruit, you kind of, but then you get off on a deep end of, this smells like, I don't know, a box of herbs or whatever, the spice cabinet situation, or even rocks, things like that.
Yeah.
The challenge is that all of that aromatic language is just metaphor, right? Like whatever a green apple smells like to you might not exactly be what I perceive when I smell a green apple, or maybe we're thinking about how a green apple smells at relative levels of ripeness or whatever it might be. Rocks are the worst. Like what people talk about, minerality or a wine smelling like limestone might very well just be the scent of rain, right? That petrichor, that idea that when it rains, aromatic oils are released from the soil and from rock. I think a lot of that is really not helpful in terms of enjoying wine.
Yeah.
It's fun to talk about, don't get me wrong. And it's like when you're really curious, you're like, oh, I want to dig into this and I get all these cool aromatics and you want to talk to your sommelier buddies about it, and that's awesome. But for folks that are just getting into wine, I think focusing on how the wine actually tastes is far more important. And I'm not talking about it tasting like green apple. I'm talking about, how acidic is the wine? How much alcohol is there? For red wines, how tannic is it? Those kind of big picture things that are far more objective, right? Like you and I can both probably sense acidity in the same way, or near or close to it, once we understand what we're talking about. And so I think that I think that aromatics are fun, but I think that for folks that are trying to get into wine, focusing on what we call the structure, or the way the wine actually tastes or you perceive it on your palate, is far more interesting, and it'll get you a lot further. Like we can have the same conversation about a wine if we can talk about the structure.
Yeah.
I like sharp acidic wines, or I like, generous, powerful wines, meaning high alcohol, or I like, really drying wines, meaning tannic wines, or, whatever it might be. Sometimes the language just gets us into a lot of trouble.
Yeah. So as you've had a lifetime of work, master somm, restaurateur. Now you've taken over kind of the range of Complin.
Yeah.
What do you see yourself? Not what do you see yourself, but what do you want for yourself over the next 10 to 15 years? What do you want Matt Stamp, and what do you want like Matt Stamp's legacy to be when you think it's all said and done?
I'd really like that weekend, Jeremy.
You want that weekend, all right? Here lies on his tombstone. He finally gets his weekend, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Careers take a lot of crazy paths, and I think at the end of the day, I want for Complin, I want Complin to be the spot that people go to, whether they're coming from down the street or across the globe, when they think of great wine and great food experiences in Napa, especially with those two things combined. As far as myself, like I spent a lot of my career being very public facing, and I kind of enjoy not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
This interview being the exception there. Like I kind of want, I'm excited to see folks at the business grow. Peter, who runs the wine shop for me, has the best palate in Napa. He buys the wine. I
Yeah.
don't buy the wine anymore. He's
Yeah.
doing an amazing job. I like seeing the folks who work in this business better themselves professionally. I love to see that, and I kind of want that to be. I guess I kind of want that to be the legacy. When we founded Complin, it was as almost like an apprenticeship for aspiring young sommeliers. You come in here, you get your ass kicked for 18 months, and then you go run a program somewhere. And we hired folks from all over the globe when we opened.
And I heard you guys do kick ass.
We do, yeah, we do. Yeah, but respectfully,
they feel like they got their ass kicked.
Respectfully, but like the opening class of servers here all went on to run programs at Angler. One of our sommeliers went to Bennu. One went to run the program at Bouchon. It's a I think that's kind of part of what we're here for. We want to teach people about wine, whether you're a customer, a client, a friend, or an employee.
And in closing, is there any misconceptions that people may think or of you and know that you just feel like, no, it's not that, or yes, it is, or?
Shoot. That's a tough closing question, man. I'm going to finish this glass of Muscadet. And
maybe it could be that you think that that's I hear this. I'll tell you that I do this because we're friends. I don't talk about what I hear professionally about you, but I hear that you're really a stickler.
Yeah.
And so, but like you say, when you leave under your tutelage, you go do great things. So do you feel like, no, I'm not? Do you feel like, yes, I am? Is there anything about your career or any just that you would?
It's funny. I was sitting at our neighbor's restaurant the other day having a quick bite of lunch, and I overheard the manager there talking about doing an AI deep dive on himself, and I was like, oh, maybe I should try that.
Yeah.
And I did. I think that I have generally really high expectations for myself and for others.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I probably come across as a hard ass because of that.
Yeah.
And that'll probably go on my tombstone also. That's why I didn't get a weekend.
A hard ass is finally getting his weekend. Well, I'm glad that I met you as friends and I just get to drink with you randomly. I don't have to work for you.
I love it.
I had to beg for a year for this interview, but I'm so glad that you came. No, it really means a lot to me. It means a lot to me on the journey that I'm on here in Napa Valley. And I tell people all the time, you guys lend credibility to what I'm doing. To say that, hey, the platform you're creating, I would love to come. You've done a lifetime of work and you get to just sit down and talk about for an hour. You can't even cover it all. But to come and sit down with me and do it here in Napa, it does mean a lot to me. And I'm very forever grateful and thankful. And thankful for your friendship. You've been to my wedding, like all kind of stuff, man. So, we hang and, I know I'm being like this, but then we're going to, hang out later and, talk to shit, So, but thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Matt Stamp, Complin Wine Shop and Restaurant. If you come to Napa Valley, please come here and eat here. I can't give you the password to get the burger, but try all the other stuff because it's amazing. I love it. I frequent here all the time and, I'll still be here. I am about to start on somebody told me I have to call it WSET.
Yeah.
Not WSET. He said, no, don't call it WSET. He said, call it WSET. So anyways, either way, I'm about to start on my journey soon.
I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm excited. So thank you for coming on.
Jeremy, thanks for having me. I love how you tell the stories of Napa.
Thank you. All right. We'll see you guys again later on the next episode of Meet Me in Napa. Peace.